It was Jason's day. 17 candles on the cake. 17 years of someone else's history I'd never been allowed to touch. The house was full. Friends. Family. People I didn't recognize but had apparently known Candace forever. They all came bearing gifts. All of them loud and laughing and full of a warmth I'd never been invited to share. I stood at the grill most of the afternoon, flipping burgers and chicken thighs while Jason scrolled on his phone. Never once said thanks. Not once offered to help. And Candace? She floated through the party like she was 25 again. Laughing too loudly, brushing shoulders with the men who stayed too long in the kitchen, refilling their drinks before they were empty. I noticed it then, and I'd noticed it before. The way she poured more when she liked who was drinking. She never poured for me. Jason had gotten bold over the last few months. The kind of bold that grows in the absence of consequences. At first, it was small. A scoff when I asked him to clean up his dishes. A slammed door when I asked about the grades slipping. The way he stopped calling me anything at all. I wasn't Mike or Michael anymore. Just a presence. A wall to lean on when his world needed holding up, and a ghost when it didn't. But that day he crossed a line. After the food, the drinks, the laughter that didn't include me. After the cake was brought out and the song was sung and the wax had dripped onto the frosting because no one blew the candles out in time, that's when he did it. He stood up, pulled the car keys from his pocket, and handed them across the table. Not as a gift. Not like a son giving something back to a father. No, he dropped them into my palm like they were evidence. You're not the boss of me. You'll never marry my mom, loser. The word hung in the air like smoke. Loser. Someone chuckled. I don't even know who. Might have been one of Candace's sisters. The one who always looked me up and down like I'd tracked mud in from the porch. Or maybe it was that cousin who never met a beer he didn't open and leave unfinished on the table. It doesn't matter. What mattered was that nobody corrected him. Not even her. Candace stood there, hands folded, that smile stuck to her face like a mask made of wax. And she didn't say a word. Not to him. Not to me. Not even a Jason, that's enough. Her silence said everything. Said, I agree with him. It said, you are not part of this family. It said, this house, these people, this moment. It's not yours. It never was. So I nodded. Not because I forgave. Not because I understood. But because I knew. Knew I'd let this happen. Knew I'd train them to believe I would always show up, always pay, always accept the scraps handed to me like favors. I reached for my phone. Quiet. Calm. I opened the utility app and pressed one button. Power off. The lights clicked out. The Bluetooth speaker Jason had been bragging about stuttered and died. Somewhere in the kitchen, the fridge gave a last mechanical sigh. I watched them look around, confused, like children waking up in the dark for the first time. Then I went to the drawer, the one I kept locked, the one they always pretended wasn't there. I took out the car title, the insurance documents, the file folder marked with my name. My name. Not Candace's, not Jason's, just mine. And then I walked to the front door. No yelling, no dramatics, just a clean, deliberate exit. The way a man leaves a job he never should have taken. They watched me go like I was the problem, like the lights going out was a tantrum, not a warning. The wedding was scheduled for the next weekend. Flowers ordered, suits rented, guest list printed. It never happened. And here's the thing. I wasn't surprised. The cracks had been there. I just ignored them. Like the nights she came home from girls' night, smelling like cologne. Not perfume, mind you. Cologne. Cheap or not, I knew what it meant. I'd been a man long enough to know when another man's scent has been worn too long. And I saw the little pauses in her answers when I asked where she'd been. The way her fingers fumbled the zipper of her purse. The way she started leaving her phone face down. But I didn't confront. I gave space. I played the understanding man. Because love, they tell you, is patient. And maybe that's true. But patience without respect? That's servitude. Jason had started changing long before that night. First it was the eye rolls. Then it was the refusal to greet me when he came home. The unwashed dishes. The missing tools from the garage. The way he started calling me dude. like he was doing me a favor. I brought it up. Of course I did. Sat across from Candace one night, hands clasped, tried to explain how I was feeling. That I wasn't being respected. That the kid needed boundaries. She laughed. Laughed like I told her a joke. He's just being a teenager, she said. You're too sensitive. But it wasn't sensitivity. It was erosion. Bit by bit, the man I tried to be was being chipped away by a family that never saw me as part of their own. I kept paying the bills. Kept fixing the leaky faucet. Replacing the gutters. Washing Jason's clothes when they piled up because he didn't have time. I kept saying yes. To rides, to allowances, to birthday gifts that Candace picked out but I paid for. And every yes felt like a nail in my own coffin. The truth? I thought love could earn me a place at the table. But love without acknowledgement is invisible. And invisible men don't stay forever. So when Jason called me a loser, in front of everyone, on the day I'd spent a week preparing for, cooking for, cleaning for, something inside me shifted. I didn't feel angry. I felt done. Because the worst thing wasn't the insult. It wasn't even the keys dropped in my palm like some sick joke. It was Candace. Standing there, her silence louder than anything he'd said. No defense. No protest. Just complicity. And in that moment, I knew the wedding would not happen. Not next week. Not ever. I would not marry into a house that had no place for me. I would not keep giving to people who only took. I would not raise a boy who saw me as nothing but a wallet with hands. I walked out with nothing but documents and the phone in my pocket. Left the food, the cake, the laughter behind. As the door shut, I heard Jason say something. Another jab? Maybe, or just a laugh. I didn't care. The lights stayed off. By the time I got to the car, the silence in the driveway felt like mercy. It started with a receipt. Nothing suspicious, not at first. A hotel charge. Midweek. A Marriott out by the highway. I remember staring at it on the bank statement and thinking, no way. I asked Candace about it that night. Just slid it across the table. No anger in my voice. Just a question. She blinked. Paused. Then smiled. Oh, that's for work. We had a training offsite. They comped us later, I think. I wanted to believe her. That's the truth. I wanted it to be real. I'd built so much around that hope, around the version of her I thought I knew. But that smile? It wasn't scared. It wasn't sheepish. It was rehearsed. That's what got me. Not the words, the ease of them. The next day, I called a friend from work. A guy named Terry. Divorced twice, cynical as hell. The kind of guy who always assumes the worst and says, I told you so, like he's asking for applause. I told him what I'd seen. He didn't waste time with comfort. You need to start tracking everything, he said. Print the bank statements. Watch the charges. Check the credit pulls. And if you really want the truth, hire someone. Don't confront until you've got it all. He'd learned the hard way. I could see it in his face. So I listened. That week, I opened a private folder on my desktop. I called it Household Old. Made it look like budget notes. Inside, I started collecting. Every transaction, every withdrawal, every transfer that didn't make sense. Some of it was small gas station flowers in towns we'd never visited. A fast food charge at 11 p.m. when she said she was with her sister. Venmo transfers to names I didn't recognize. Profiles with no photos, no history. Then the big one, a loan inquiry. From my bank. In my name. Pre-approval requested. I never filed it. That was the moment the floor started to shift under me. I called the bank. They confirmed it. Someone had started an application to refinance the house. The same house I'd bought 6 years ago. My name on the deed. My money in every brick, every nail. The paperwork wasn't complete. Just a submission. But when they read me the details, my stomach turned to stone. There was another name on it. Not Candace's. Not mine. Him. Eric Holloway. I knew that name. She'd introduced him once over dinner, months ago. Called him a work friend. He'd sat at my table. Drank my beer. Laughed at my jokes like he wanted to be seen as harmless. I didn't like him then, but I hadn't said anything. Didn't want to look insecure. That was my mistake. I sat with that for a long time. Just stared at the screen. My hands felt numb. Not shaking. Not angry. Just emptied. And then I picked up the phone and hired a PI. His name was Lester. Late 50s, retired cop. Spoke like he'd smoked since high school. He didn't promise drama. He promised documentation. "Give me 2 weeks," he said. "You'll get the truth. Whatever it is." I paid the retainer in cash. Untraceable. Just like I wanted. In the meantime, I kept smiling at home. Kept pretending. Made breakfast on Sundays. Took out the trash. Laughed at her TV shows. We even shared a bottle of wine one night, her idea. She kissed me after. Said, "I've missed this." And for a moment, I almost believed we were okay. But deep down, I was already gone. 2 weeks later, Lester handed me the folder in a Walmart parking lot. He didn't sit down. Didn't say much. Just tapped the cover. "It's all in there," he said. I wouldn't wait too long. Then he got in his car and drove away. I opened it right there in the front seat of my truck. The photos were clear. Time-stamped. Candace and Eric walking together at a park. Holding hands. Her head on his shoulder. Kissing by her SUV. Smiling like teenagers. In one photo, she was wearing the same jacket she wore to our date night the week before. I flipped through them slowly. One by one. No denial. No ambiguity. Just fact. At the bottom of the stack was a copy of the loan application. Highlighted. My forged signature right beside Eric's real one. The bank hadn't caught it. Yet, they were going to try and take my house. I sat there for a long time. Windows fogged. Folder open across my lap. There's a kind of grief that doesn't hit like a wave. It sinks. Slow. Heavy. Not loud, just thorough. I didn't scream. I went home. Candace was in the kitchen, making pasta. Jason was in the living room, feet on the coffee table, laughing at something on his phone. The same house. The same furniture. But I saw it all differently now. "Hey, babe," she said, smiling. "Can you grab the garlic from the pantry?" I didn't move. That night, I slept on the couch. Told her I had a headache. She didn't push. The next day, I called the bank and flagged the fraud. Canceled the inquiry. Froze all joint access. Then I transferred the savings, every cent I'd been stockpiling for the wedding, for Jason's college, for the home improvements, into a new account. One she didn't know existed. I'd opened it the same day I hired Lester. Then I left. The rental had been ready for weeks. A little 2-bedroom tucked behind a shuttered bakery on the edge of town. Not glamorous. Not big. But clean. Quiet. Mine. I brought one suitcase. A duffel with clothes. A laptop bag. And a single photo frame. Jason and I, fishing when he was 10. He'd caught a sunfish barely the size of his palm. But you'd think it was a marlin the way he smiled. That grin. Crooked. Missing a tooth. Pure joy. I remembered the way he called me Dad that day. I set the photo on the kitchen counter. Stared at it for a while. Then I packed it away. Court was scheduled for 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I arrived at 8:15. Tie knotted tight. Folder in hand. The hallway smelled like old paper and old anger. I sat on the bench outside the courtroom, staring at the door. I didn't fidget. Didn't check my phone. Just waited. The kind of stillness that isn't peace, just control. Candace showed up late. She walked in at 8:52, heels tapping like defiance, her new lawyer at her side. Young guy, overconfident, hair too perfect. She wore a beige dress I'd never seen before. Makeup sharp, eyes hollow. She didn't look at me, not once. Jason wasn't with her. Neither was Eric. The bailiff called our names. The room was small, quiet, nothing like TV. Just rows of empty benches. One table for each side. And a judge who looked like she didn't have patience for theater. Candace's lawyer started soft. "There's been a misunderstanding," he said. "A communication breakdown between parties. No malicious intent." The judge didn't blink. "This isn't mediation," she said. "We're here because of fraud allegations. And I see the exhibits." She flipped through the folder my lawyer had submitted, highlighted bank records, timestamp documents, the fake loan application, notarized copies of my real signature. Lester's photos weren't included. This wasn't about infidelity. This was about theft. Candace spoke once. Her voice cracked. She said she hadn't known Eric had used my name. A lie. I kept my eyes on her. I wanted her to see me. She didn't look up. My lawyer was calm, methodical. He laid it out clean. Forged documents, unauthorized access to financial systems, attempted home refinancing, breach of fiduciary trust. No embellishments, just facts. The judge asked only one question. Did the defendant attempt to place a co-signatory on property she did not legally own? My lawyer pointed to the application. Yes, Your Honor. And that co-signatory was not the plaintiff. The judge closed the folder. This isn't a mistake, she said. It's fraud. Attempted financial misrepresentation with intent to transfer ownership. Candace didn't cry at first. She just sat there, still, her jaw clenched. The verdict was swift. The court declared the loan application invalid. The property was reaffirmed in my name alone. Any shared access to financial accounts was formally terminated. Candace was ordered to repay legal costs and restitution for damages, including frozen assets, bank fees, and time spent reversing unauthorized actions. She was also warned, any future attempt to access my property or accounts would result in criminal charges. She started crying as the papers were handed down. Not soft tears, loud, gasping sobs. Her lawyer tried to comfort her. She pulled away. I stood, buttoned my coat, walked out. Jason was in the parking lot. He was sitting on the hood of Candace's SUV, arms crossed, headphones around his neck. He looked smaller than I remembered, older somehow, like the cockiness had burned off in the past month. I didn't stop. Hey, he called. I kept walking. Michael. I turned. He didn't approach, just looked at me from a distance. She's not okay. I shrugged. She made her choices. He looked away. You don't have to hate her. I don't, I said. I just don't owe her anything anymore. He didn't reply, just stared at the ground. I walked to my truck, pulled out, and drove away without looking back. That night, I sat on the porch of the rental. One porch light, one chair, one dog-eared paperback I hadn't touched in weeks. I didn't feel triumphant, didn't feel hollow, just still. The world kept moving. 2 days later, she texted. It came at 6:03 a.m., a time she used to get up and pretend to go running, but really went driving with her coffee, talking on the phone with whoever she thought I'd never notice. That was her hour, when the world was quiet, when secrets felt smaller. The message said, I'm sorry, can we talk? Just that, a single sentence, dotted with hesitation, like she was testing the water with her toe. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I locked the screen. Didn't delete it. Didn't reply. Just set the phone down and poured my coffee. Sat on the porch and watched the sun come up through the mist. It was cold that morning. The kind of cold that sneaks into your collar and reminds you what aloneness really feels like. But I wasn't lonely. I'd gone 34 days without hearing Candace's voice. 34 days without Jason's attitude. 34 days without explaining my value to a household that lived on my back but spit in my face. The silence wasn't punishment. It was peace. The rental wasn't much. One bedroom was empty. No TV in the living room. Just a cheap couch, a lamp, a small table with mismatched chairs. But it was mine. The electricity bill had my name on it. So did the lease. Nobody rolled their eyes when I walked in the door. Nobody left wet towels on the floor. Nobody changed the thermostat behind my back. I could breathe. Some nights were quiet to the point of discomfort. No footsteps upstairs. No creak of the fridge opening. No faint music leaking from Jason's room while he played video games at 2 a.m. But even the silence felt like healing. I started waking up before my alarm. Started jogging in the mornings. Not to get fit, just to move. Just to remember what my body felt like when it wasn't carrying someone else's disappointment. I ate simple meals. read half a book, cleaned the same mug 3 times a week. I didn't need much. One night, I went to the library for a support group. Men over 40, divorced, burned, battered. Some with stories worse than mine. One guy's ex had sold his dad's antique car while he was in the hospital. Another had been paying child support for a kid who wasn't his. I told mine, soft-spoken. No dramatics, just the facts. The forgery, the affair, the silence, the party, the lights. One guy across from me, maybe 55, hands like tree bark, leaned forward after I finished. He didn't offer sympathy, just nodded once and said, "You didn't lose. You saved yourself." The words didn't hit right away, but on the drive home, I felt something shift in my chest. Not pride, not anger, something else. Clarity. They had stolen years from me. Not just time, but energy, self-worth. The belief that I mattered in the life I'd helped build. They took my kindness for currency, used my love like it was obligation. And when I finally said no, they called it cruelty. But it wasn't. It was freedom. The next morning, I got another text. "Jason, are you really never coming back?" I didn't answer that one either, because I had come back to myself. I didn't pack the photo back up, the one of Jason and me standing by that pond. I'd kept it in the rental's junk drawer for weeks. Out of sight, but not out of mind. I'd reach for batteries or a flashlight and there it'd be, half covered by expired coupons and receipts. Always there, always watching. After the courthouse, after the text, I left it on the counter. Then I put it face down. And after a while, I stopped reaching for the drawer at all. The days bled together in a way that felt gentle. I stopped marking time by their moods. No more silent treatments. No more passive-aggressive sighs during dinner. No more late-night arguments about why Jason wasn't home yet or why Candace forgot to tell me they had plans that didn't include me. Now it was sunrise, coffee, quiet, work. A few friendly nods from the guys at the hardware store. Groceries bought with exact change. Laundry folded and actually put away. No theatrics. No tension. Just a man rebuilding his hours. I got invited back to the men's group. That next week, they asked if I wanted to share again. I didn't prepare anything. Just spoke. I said, the hardest part isn't the betrayal. It's realizing how long you lied to yourself just to stay. Heads nodded. No applause. Just a circle of tired men, listening. One guy asked if I missed her. Another asked about Jason. I told the truth. I miss who I thought they were. That was the worst part. Not the money. Not the wedding that never happened. Not even the years that wouldn't come back. It was the version of them I'd built in my mind, the hopeful edits, the second chances I kept assigning, the softness I imagined hiding under the edge. But when you stop editing the memory, the truth stands naked. She didn't protect me. He didn't respect me. And I let it happen. For years. Candace texted again a few weeks later. This one longer. Said she'd been going to therapy. That she was learning to take accountability. That she missed what we had. I read it. I didn't respond. Then came Jason's turn. No anger this time. Just a message that said, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I was wrong. I see it now. I see what you gave. I stared at the words. Read them twice. 3 times. And still I couldn't feel anything. Not hate. Not relief. Not even the sharp pang of regret I expected. Just nothing. Because here's the truth no one tells you about healing. It isn't always loud. It isn't always triumphant. Sometimes it's just a man realizing he's no longer haunted by the things that used to unravel him. I went home that night. Back to the rental, still temporary on paper but increasingly permanent in my bones. And sat on the porch. Same chair. Same chipped railing. Same mug. Stained by 100 mornings. And I felt it. Freedom. Not the kind you buy. Not the kind that roars with new beginnings. The quiet kind. The kind that settles in your chest like a second wind. The kind that isn't about getting something new, but about shedding everything that was never real. Candace and Jason thought I'd come crawling back. Maybe not right away, but eventually. They thought I'd remember the laughter, the good days, the shared meals, the nights where the house felt almost whole. They didn't understand. I hadn't left the good parts behind. I'd finally stopped pretending the good parts outweighed the rest. One evening, I saw Candace again. Pure accident. I was walking out of the grocery store, arms full, receipts fluttering in the wind, when I heard my name. She looked smaller, thinner, makeup gone, just sweatpants and tired eyes. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile that knew its own futility. "Michael," she said, "I was hoping I'd run into you." I nodded. Here I am. Awkward silence. People moving around us. Shopping carts clicking on the pavement. "I meant what I said," she added. "In the message." "I know." More silence. Then she said the words I think she'd been holding for weeks. "I never meant to lose you." I didn't flinch. Didn't soften. Just stood there. Groceries heavy in my arms, shoulders calm. "You didn't lose me," I said. "You threw me away." She nodded. Tears in her eyes, but no tears falling. The kind of sadness that wasn't for me, just for the things she couldn't undo. Jason never tried to meet in person. He sent one last message after that. "I don't deserve your time, but thank you anyway. For everything. I'm sorry." "And that one?" I replied. "Be better than how you were raised. That's all." No name. No sign-off. Just the truth. I didn't need to be his father anymore. But maybe, just maybe, I could still be a compass. The photo stayed face down. One morning, I opened the drawer again. Looked at it. Took it out. I didn't put it on the wall. I didn't throw it away. I set it on the porch railing. Watched the light hit it. And then I let the wind take it. It flopped once, slid down the side, and landed face down again, this time in the grass. I didn't go after it, because that part of my life wasn't buried. It was released. Now, my days belong to me. I make coffee the way I like. I drive without anyone texting where I am. I eat what I want when I want. No one asks why I'm home late. No one guilt trips me for needing space. The quiet is a kind of wealth I never understood until I was forced to live in it. They say peace is the absence of war. But that's wrong. Peace is the absence of performance. I don't rehearse who I am anymore. I don't chase validation from people who only see me when I'm useful. I don't set places at the table for people who spit in the food. This quiet, this stillness, this reclaiming. It's not revenge. It's resurrection. So now I leave you with this. After all the lies, the silence, the betrayal, the mockery. After years of being the backbone of a family that never called me family, I chose to walk away. Not in anger, not in bitterness, in dignity. Because when someone tells you what you're worth to them, believe them. When someone shows you your role, accept it. And when they say, "You're not my real dad," remember, you don't owe real love to fake loyalty. So tell me, was I wrong to leave? Or was I just the only one who finally told the truth?